Okay, let's go to John. And he says, rest in peace, Bill Walton, UCLA, Portland, Boston, and even the San Diego Clippers.
Interesting guy, as we alluded to as our lead story. I think he's one of the most eclectic, eccentric, electrical person I've met. And he cared. That's the word I guess I was searching for earlier. Anything he got involved in, he cared deeply about, whether that's UCLA, Pac-10, Pac-12, pro career, and what he did politically and personally in his hometown. He cared.
Yeah, absolutely. He cared. And we loved him for it, you know, especially a San Diego guy, always positive, just positive energy whenever people are around him. But I was reading a tweet from Ben Higgins, and he was saying he's emceed events where Bill Walton's there. And I guess when they're running behind schedule, don't give the microphone to Bill Walton because he'll go for 30 minutes talking about stuff. But yeah, special guy on so many levels, societal, cultural, and in sports.
Do you regret sending him the email that said you thought Grand Funk Railroad was better than Grateful Dead?
Yeah, or Fish, maybe. I don't know, some other band that's kind of like the Dead. But I've had friends go to Dead shows, and they say he's always easy to spot because he's so damn tall. You know, he stands out in the crowd.
On we go. Next topic.
Okay, let's go here to Callan. And Callan says, hey, I met Bill Walton several times during my time announcing at USD when he and Dave Pasch would work ESPN games for the West Coast Conference. What a great human being who was so giving of his time to everybody. Rip Bill.
He had an opinion on everything. He'd tell you his opinion on everything, and some of his opinions were pretty vital. Now, some of them are a little bit off the charts, but what an honest, good man.
Yeah, it was just funny, like watching a basketball game, and suddenly he's talking about the Spanish Inquisition or something. You know what I mean? It's just nuts. Okay, let's go here to Gary. And Gary says, do we still need Cronenworth's glove at first base? Maybe swap Arraez to second.
I just think Arraez is a bit of a mystery defensively. He did not have a good reputation playing infield. But, you know, who's the legitimate first baseman if you're going to have Arraez be the DH and then you're keeping Manny at third? You're going to need a first baseman. I'm not quite sure who that first baseman is going to be, and there's not a heck of a lot out there. In retrospect, and this sounds strange to be saying, geez, they should have kept a 250 hitter, but Garrett Cooper, who came here from Miami, he hit like 250 and had 25 home runs, and they didn't bring him back. And then he went to Boston. I thought that's going to be a good fit in Boston. Then he got cut, and then he was with the Cubs, and I thought that'd be a good fit at Wrigleyville. But, I mean, they got to find a first baseman with legitimacy because I don't know defensively. Nobody I know has ever mentioned the term Gold Glove with Arraez, and Arraez is just a great hitter.
Oh, unbelievable hitter. But I noticed that, yeah, they moved Cronenworth to second, Arraez to first. That's better than the other way around because Cronenworth is far superior defensively. But yeah, who else would play first base? Tyler Ward or
Tyler Wade.
Wade, pardon me, Wade, not Ward. Who else would play? I mean,
well, maybe Manny, but now you're changing Gold Glove third baseman to first, so he doesn't have to throw very much. You could always put Wade at third, but Wade's not Manny at third. So there's some moving parts that they're going to have to consider here going forward. And God, there's a lot of baseball still to be played without Xander.
I think long-term Xander is your first baseman. I can see that happening.
Not right now.
Well, not right now.
Okay, next question.
Okay, let's go down the list here. Let's go to Mesa. He says, yes, can we get robo refs in hockey too?
Oh, I'm so disgusted at all the cheap shots in the National Hockey League. This is from the O Canada Network. I don't know what game Gary Bettman is watching. There was they call an air elbow hit in the Ranger game last night against Florida, where Jacob Trouba came across center ice and did this to a Florida Panthers player right here. He got fined $5,000 today. Why is the minimum $5,000 on a flagrant intent to injury penalty? The last series, there was a play that did not even merit a penalty call, in which a Ranger came across ice and launched to try to hit a player with a cross check to the head. He missed the player completely. He went head first into the force. They didn't even call a penalty on, quote, intent. I just think there's been so many cheap shots in this NHL playoff series. I don't understand what they're looking at or not seeing. And you got all these refs standing there swallowing their whistles. And head blows are supposed to be outlawed in the NHL. And there's been so much of this junk in the NHL playoffs. To me, it's a terrible turnoff.
Do you think that the refs are intentionally or being told to don't police it as much because that's good for the fan interest and we get better TV ratings?
What about the health of the players?
Yeah, well, I don't think they really care about it. It's all about the money.
It bothers me. I don't know. Anybody on our O Canada network want to jump in there? Is there too much junk going on in terms of cheap hits and headshots in the NHL playoffs? Next question.
Next question. Okay, here, let's go to Gary. And this is talking about the Roboumps in baseball. He says, best solution, each team gets 3 challenges per game, and they get to retain their challenges if they keep getting them overturned.
Good call. As John and I argued early, how many times are you going to use it? Does the batter ask? Or does the manager ask? The batter would look at the dugout and say, hey, right here. Well, you can't do that if you're only going to get 3, but you don't want to wreck the flow of the game. And that's the big issue. We can't have every batter being given a replay challenge, even if it takes 2.5 seconds. I just think that would wreck the impact of the game. So it's an idea. I don't like the computerization issue. I don't want robo-umps because the umps have to do a better job, but the umps play an integral part, safe, out, and all that, and policing the game.
Right.
But I think this is a solution, and I think they have to get union approval to have an instant replay challenge. But, maybe it's 1 per inning, or that would give you 9. That's an awful lot of stoppages.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's 3 per game.
Yeah, sometimes you just watch it and like the balls are outside clearly and they call them strikes. And every once in a while you'll see one right down center cut and they say ball. Yeah. I mean, it just blows my mind. I used to think that, that was the imperfection and the romance of baseball, kind of like art where there's a little bit of imperfection, but I was wrong. They need to just get it right. We need to have reason, rationality in baseball. So we're not, going crazy watching the game on TV.
You critiquing artwork. I see that junk that's up on your wall. What the hell is that? I mean, why? At least you're not abstract doing this podcast, even though your choices on wall designs are abstract.
Yeah, I'm like no Pablo Picasso, that's for sure.
Next question.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. He says, Saw. Usually I try to say something witty using your trademark over-the-top jargon, but today I will not. I just want to thank you for your amazing, touching Memorial Day tribute on the website. Absolutely moving.
Yeah. It's a dark day. I found this to be a very emotional, hard day for me. And then obviously we have to talk about the passing of Bill Walton, and we talk the tragedy with the suicide on the PGA Tour and all that. I wrote a column. It's a little bit different. It's not about sports today. My one man's opinion column on that website. It's about Memorial Day, what it means to me and my family. So I'm so surprised hardly anybody flies a flag anymore. There's only two people on my street. I'm one of them that's flying American flag today, Memorial Day. It's kind of gotten away from us.
Yeah, it kind of has, hasn't it? And granted, the American flag now kind of represents different things to different people because it's been so politicized. But I want to say that the article that you wrote was really, it's moving. And it was, you talk a little bit about Jerry Coleman and Ted Williams, but it was really about your family.
Yeah.
And all of your brothers and your father and your uncles that were all serving in the military. For me, my family was the exact opposite. I mean, if I go way back into the archives, I probably have ancestors in World War I and II, but military was not a big thing in my family, but it clearly was for you.
Yeah. I've been to a whole bunch of places, stateside. If you got family was in the military or you have some attachment, go to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. It's unbelievable. And I've been there, and I've been to the national cemeteries, and I went to Normandy to deposit the ashes of my uncle who jumped into Normandy the night of the invasion, and he finally died at age 95, and I deposited him with a group from his unit that died at Normandy. So get a chance. I've been to the Vietnam War Memorial. It was really hard for me. And been to the World War II Memorial. There's one in Virginia, which is phenomenal. And obviously a lot of these other places. But I swear to you, John, if you go to the World War II Museum in New Orleans, or if you ever have the trip to go to France, go to Paris, and go to Normandy, you'll be speechless. It'll change the way you think about everything.
Wow. Going back on movies, in the article you referenced the not Band of Brothers, what was the
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. Forgive me for missing that. What is your favorite or most moving military movie? Do you have one?
You just mentioned both of them.
Okay.
Those two modern day ones, and before that, because I lost an uncle in a B-17 over Germany. It was a movie, I think it was called 12 O'Clock High, which was about that time when they flew unprotected into Germany, and we lost so many planes, so many B-17 Flying Fortresses. Those are probably my three favorite ones, because I'm a product of the Vietnam era, and because my friends were so touched by Vietnam, I just can't watch Vietnam War movies. I just can't. But and then we have the tragedies of the forgotten war, Korea.
Right.
And then obviously we have Iraq and Afghanistan and everything that in modern day warfare has taken our men and soldiers and women too. So Memorial Day is, sorry, it's just really hard for me.
Yeah. Well, who was the player for the Arizona Cardinals that went and into the military after
Patrick Tillman gave up his career, played at
Yeah.
Arizona State when I broadcast. He went and served and got taken out by friendly fire in Afghanistan on a hillside. Hell of a guy.
Wow.
And again, this is important. Serving
Right.
my country is important. He didn't go it as a warrior. He went to be a soldier, and unfortunately got taken out by friendly fire in a sniper situation, sadly, by his own guy. But, just never forget those guys.
I'm trying to think of other sports heroes that served. I know Willie Mays did.
Oh, Bob Feller. I mean, back in World War II, Hank Greenberg, the greatest slugger of that era, they all went to serve because it was their duty.
Then Rocky Blyer too, right?
Exactly. And he was badly wounded in Vietnam, and he came back and resurrected his career. I think the story I saw this morning, I think there are 55 professional athletes who went and died, whether it's World War II, Korea,
Really?
or a few in Vietnam. Yeah, 55 total athletes.
Wow.
Now, a lot of guys served, a lot got wounded, but
Mhm.
I think it's about 55 who passed.
Wow. Yeah.
Next question.
Okay, let's go to social media and get some folks in here. Oh, just another comment here because I want to get everyone in that's talking about Bill Walton. And this is from Arnie. He says, Hacksaw, we're heartbroken here in San Diego passing a Bill Walton.
Unique. What a
Yes.
personality. We'd get up and we'd get all dressed up and we'd go to these luncheons and dinners, and he'd show up in his tie-dye shirt. And that's okay.
Perfect.
That's Bill. Bill being Bill.
That's exactly what I expect from him. Okay, let's go to social media. We got some people here that've got some thoughts and comments. And okay, here, let's go to was it DJ Carlo? He says, always mad respect for Mr. Hamilton, hoping the Dodgers can win a World Series during Ohtani's contract. Unfortunately, I don't think this year is the year.
We sit here at the breakfast table this morning. Dodgers now have 12 guys on the DL. 12. Including virtually their entire bullpen. And of course, some other guys are hurt too. So it's just been a real challenge. They're not hitting right now. It's a weird stat. The first April into mid-May with runners in scoring position, 328. That was the top of the batting order, top 6 guys. Since then, runners in scoring position since like May 15th, 198. And the bottom third of their batting order, the batting averages are just horrific. And now Freddie Freeman's cooled off, and Betts has cooled off, and Ohtani's got a bit of a hamstring problem. And there is no Max Muncy because he's the 12th guy, just went on the DL. So, but a lot of baseball to be played. They're going to get some more pitching back, but pitching's a little iffy. Buehler had the 6 shutout innings, and he got kind of strafed in the last outing, gave up a couple of home runs early. So it's a process. It's a process.
Well, this is the time for the other NL West teams to step up, because it's an opportunity. Did you see the Padres schedule going into June? That's a winnable month.
Yeah. And here's another factor. 2 best teams in National League, the Phillies and the Dodgers, have yet to play a first place team on a schedule. And that's going to flip this week.
Yeah. And then the Braves, another team, they're kind of in a little disarray with those injuries. So.
Yeah, but don't sales pitch me on the Padres. They're a 500 team. Last time you sales pitched me on the Padres, they lost 3 in a row to Colorado, of all people.
Colorado. Okay, let's go here to Budman. He says, hey, I remember those days well at XTRA. Chet 40 was the glue.
I was with the owner and founder, John Lynch of 690, just last week. Hadn't seen him in a while. And I was with him and John Quintera at kind of a memorial service for a friend in radio who passed. And we just started talking and laughing about all the stuff we did back at the old 690. And he had read a column I'd written about 690, and he may have accessed, we did one of our early podcasts, the history of 690 and how I got here and what I thought and what I was going to do, blah, 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 blah. And he laughed. He said, you don't think we planned this stuff out, huh? I said, no, you didn't. You just kind of stumbled upon some of us. You knew who I was, and I was the leadoff hitter And then you stumbled upon Jim Rome, and you stumbled upon Steve Hartman, and then we created the Loose Cannons. But, we reflect back on 690, and we had something really unique and really special. And at the time, we were working so hard, and we were the first ones through the wall. Nobody had ever done it that way. We just never realized what we were doing and what we were to become. And then obviously, guys' careers changed, and we all went off in different places, and other people made decisions that badly impacted our radio station. But we were uniquely different, and we were the first ones on the block to do it. And John asked me, he said, "Where did you come up with that slug line?" And I said, "What one is that?" He said, "That from Baja thing." I said, "Well, from Baja to the Canadian Rockies?" Yeah, 77,000 watts signal that blow torches up and down the West Coast. I said, "John, it's true, because I was in Vancouver and I heard 690 at night in Vancouver, and that's more than 50 miles away, north of Orange County."
Yeah.
And he was a visionary. And stupid me, I've told this story before, but stupid me, first time John brought me to his house, I had already been here to become the voice of the Chargers, and we were still 69 extra gold, Wolfman Jack and all that. And John says, "We're going to change the format of the station." "You are?" And I thought he was saying we're going to go news talk. He says, "We're going to go all sports." I said, "John, are you sure? All sports is kind of narrow casted formatically." And then dummy me, I'm smart about a lot of things, but I wasn't smart about that, failed to think blowtorch signal, 77,000 watts, unbelievable signal, play-by-play to a major franchise, the NFL Chargers. This could be done, and we got it done. And John said, "You don't think there was a game plan?" I said, "Nah, John, you stumbled across a bunch of us," but it worked out in the end. So thank you for the compliment at 690. Been a lot of stations come and go since that point in time, but we were the first through the wall to do it. And now in history writes, we did pretty good.
There are so many fans of that era that they pour out in the social media comments, just loving what you and all the other guys at 690 accomplished. I mean, people see you walking down the street and said, "Hacksaw," you probably get that all the time.
Yeah, they scream at me, "Touchdown San Diego," or, "You're bleeping brilliant," or, Raider Nation out of jail on bail. They yell at me all times. I'm in a restaurant and, the church, and it's kind of funny. Like I said, we were the first ones to do it. Nobody's been able to do what we've done since then. And there's people on sports talk radio doing pretty well right now, but it's not what we were.
Oh, it was so groundbreaking, so innovative. Because I only would get like pieces of sports talk, like pregame, postgame, when I was a kid. And then one of my buddies told me about you. He says, "You've got to turn on 690." And it was like, "Would you come on at 4:00?"
4:00.
Yeah. And he says, "Hacksaw's headlines." I go, "Who's Hacksaw?" And I just went, I couldn't believe it. And so in the 90s, especially before the internet was a thing, you guys just blew the doors off everybody.
Peter Seidler, and I had not known Peter Seidler. He purchased the Padres, came from the Dodger family. And the first time I met him at his introductory press conference, Peter Seidler came to me and said, "Hacksaw, I could not wait to leave the office at 4:00 to get on the 405 so I could hear the best 15 minutes in radio in gridlock at 4:00 every afternoon. I had to be on the 405 by 4 p.m. It's just fascinating stuff."
Awesome. Okay, let's keep moving here. And let's talk a little bit about Juan Soto. And this is from Mark. And he says, "There are only a few big TV markets who can afford to pay those types of salaries, LA, New York, etc. They can also do an Ohtani-like deal that the Dodgers and defer the pay to avoid any luxury tax issues. The league will not be at parity until a salary cap, like every other league in the world does, comes into effect. With the ability to defer pay and no cap, we can expect the TV market spenders with large populations to dominate. Padres get to the World Series average every 26 and a half years or 27 and a half years and no wins. The Dodgers and Yankees have over 30 rings combined. That pretty much summarizes it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that encapsulates everything. And then you get to the question, should it be free enterprise? This guy would allow anybody to spend anything and screw the rest of the small markets. Is free enterprise with no cap good? Maybe good for New York, Boston, LA, but is it good for Tampa, Miami, to a degree, San Diego? There'd be such a disparity between the bigs and the rest. Is that good for the game? And as John mentioned, there is an NFL model of revenue sharing and hard cap with penalties that works. Why not adopt a chunk of that? Everybody in the NFL is making money. Now you can say, well, hell, everybody's 500. Well, It's do you everyone's got the same amount of money to use? How do you use that money, and are you good in player personnel? I as much as I'd like free enterprise and that the Yankees and the Mets be the Yankees and the Mets with the Dodgers, is that good for the big picture? That's another topic for another time that we'll probably have a great discussion on.
Well, I'm a big free enterprise guy in the rest of the economy. We have innovators doing special things, creating products and services. But in baseball and in sports in general, you want to have a reasonably competitive league. So having the salary cap and the salary floor makes sense to me. The league overall, MLB or NFL, they're as capitalist, as free market as you can get. But the individual teams, I can see a reason that you want to balance that out.
Yeah. That's where we are. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed